You've seen them everywhere, unless you're living under a rock. And I'm talking about the one, the only René Rodriguez. He's here with me right now, and we're going to go on a journey to success. This is our second podcast in the Journey to Success series. And we're going to get started right here, right now on the Mortgage Loan Officer Podcast, brought to you by the Mortgage Marketing Animals. I'm your host, Frank Ray. Glad to have you all with us here today. I'm here with my good friend, René Rodriguez. René, what's happening, man?
Not much. Maybe like you've seen him everywhere. You're sick of his face. It's like, oh, I got to become more scarce.
Yeah, right. Do you ever feel that way? Like you should be more scarce, like not so accessible? I know I felt that way after a while of having some sort of, notoriety or whatever. I thought to myself, man, maybe I should have been a little less accessible. What do you think? Or is that just a dumb idea?
No, well, so I mean, if you want to have the real conversation,
yeah,
I lose money because I'm as accessible as I am.
Yeah,
but it's also part of my values and who I want to be. So it's a fair trade, right?
It's a fair trade.
The reality is that, but I think there's two ways to look at it. Shorter term, value goes up when you're scarce. Longer term, if you are approachable and accessible and you stay consistently valuable and relevant, I think there's an exponential value. So I think that it's a long-term game to play there where, if you do reach, if you still continue to grow, that people are like, I still know that guy. And yeah. So it also keeps you humble at the same time. Even just saying that sounds arrogant as shit, so I'm going to retract that statement.
No, it's all good. No, I think everybody gets it. I do.
Yeah.
I totally like get it.
I don't know. I just know I don't exist without people watching. That's the thing.
True.
So, yeah. And that's a humbling and surrendered kind of a place to be.
Nice. Well said. Well said, my friend. Let's go ahead and get started in this. And because, that was kind of a neat way to open this thing up, because it'll certainly play into the rest of the conversation, I'm sure. So I want to start the journey to success. What I'm just trying to do, René, is just explore how you got to where you are today. Because when I look at René Rodriguez today and I see the brand, dude, your brand is just stellar. I'm just going to tell you, I've told you this before, but it is incredible. The brand.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And bravo to whoever has helped you with the branding and the way it looks and the way it's presented. It's just really, really well done, to the point where I look at you now and I see the things that you're doing and I go, God dang, is that the guy that I met in 2007? Like, is this the same guy? And I just got to know, how did it happen? Like, how did you get there? And if you guys aren't familiar with René Rodriguez, I find that hard to believe. Just Google him. You'll find him and you'll see what I'm talking about. His branding is just top notch. He's a huge draw. He does incredible events. Golly, man, just, you've had so much success, but let's explore it. Cause I think if we can have a little conversation here about like how it all got started, and if there's some notable milestones along the way that you can draw from, where you kind of go, this was an important part, and this was an important part, and that we can all kind of learn from that, because where you're at today is at a high level, a very high level. So let's go through the journey. We met in 2007. I believe it was.
I remember the moment. I remember the moment.
Yeah.
I remember. I just got off business plan 2008 stage. I'd done really well, and I was at a booth, and this guy, I'm just sitting there, I'm kind of in a haze, and this guy shows up and he throws his camera in my face. He's like, tell us a couple things we should learn about this event. And I'm like, of course, who is this guy? Why is he putting a camera in my face? This is before people were putting cameras in people's faces like that, by the way.
Yeah.
This was like before content was a thing. And I'm like, no more excuses. And I just said something, and I'm like, who is this dude? And then 2 minutes later, I see all these people hugging you. They're like, oh my God, I love what you do. I'm like, who is this guy? And I was like, I remember that. It was a very memorable moment.
I remember it too. And back then, at that business plan, 2008, was your career pretty much at the beginning at that point?
No,
you're notable.
I'd been in already, it would have been 10 years.
Okay. When we say that, in 10 years, as what? Doing what? What was your career?
In the same work, just
Okay.
different phases of it. It's, we're 30 years in now, dude. So we've
Yeah.
like, I mean, 20, yeah, shit. Well, I've been selling since 94. So that would have been another 4 years. So that would have been 14 years in
Wow.
there. Yeah.
And what got you into this? I mean, you're a speaker, you're a professional speaker and educator and communicator. How did that happen?
So I just did a video on this for the opening of AmpCon. We went through, my wife went out and she did sort of this intro of what, the expectations of the event, and then kind of talked about, what people have seen of, she's talking about her husband and what you've seen of Renee. I said, but what most of you have seen is the last 2 to 3 years of what's happened, but you didn't see the previous 30.
Yeah.
And so that we this flashback to when I first got started, how I wanted to be like my mother, and following her around, and when I had hair, and thinking that magic tricks were the way to go. And I actually found footage of my first speaker training when I got trained, and I was like ums and ahs, and I couldn't look at the camera, and I was just petrified, and I had horrible outfit on. And just then finally figuring out how to tell a story. And but it's what it showed me is that, we went from that to then rising up, figuring out. Then 9/11 hit, we lost everything, had to rebuild, did that again. Then COVID hit, and we lost everything again and rebuild. And it dawned on me, the biggest milestones were the downturns.
Okay,
It
let's
was one
talk
of those
about
things
that.
that, yeah. So I think just the thing that
get into the first one. Yeah, what was the first one? The first one was you said
9/11.
9/11. What
Yeah,
what happened?
we were doing
9/11, but what happened to you? Yeah.
Yeah, well, we were doing it. We're at the peak, 55 workshops a month, and I imagine 55 workshops. Those are 2 instructors, 2 full days, 37 of them running crazy all throughout the country.
Holy
55
mackerel,
3-day
dude.
workshops. We were riding,
Incredible.
and yeah, and then 9/11 hits, oil prices go up, manufacturing costs go way up, and they start cutting what's the not necessary. One of those is training. So we lost $1 million contract the week after 9/11.
Ooh,
Yep. And
that
so,
hurts.
yeah. So we had to fire 22 people in a day, 20 people in a day.
Wow.
And I was left with nothing. And I was like, okay, I got to figure this out. So that's what turned me into the mortgage industry, because a buddy of mine was in it. And I'm like,
So
I
what
got to go sell
was it
something.
before? What were you doing before?
Training and consulting, change management,
So
all same
training,
stuff.
sales training.
No sales, change management.
So what were you training on?
Change management. So we were dealing with like manufacturing companies and labor management issues, conflict resolution, creating behavior change. And so
Can I back up just a little bit? So you said when 9/11 hit, there was a big loss there, $1 million contract. That's already pretty wildly successful. I mean, how'd you get there? Like, I want to explore how did you go from the guy in the goofy suit that said ums and ahs to, okay, I had $1 million contract. I mean, let's not sidestep that. Like, what was
my mother's
process?
company. It was my mom's company. I worked for her.
Got it.
So she had been building it for years. So like I first saw her speak when I was 17, and I was like, oh shit, I want to do what she's doing.
Interesting.
And yeah. So then I got cut from the basketball team, and I didn't know what to do. One of her clients said, I need to learn how to sell. If I learn how to sell, I'll always be employed. So I went and sold cookware door to door throughout college, went to school for behavioral neuroscience so I could learn the brain, and I was selling cookware. So here I am applying the brain research to sales presentations, sometimes making $5,000 in a night.
Selling
in college.
cookware,
$5,000 sets, $2,500 sets. And so that's what kept me in sales. And then when I graduated, I went to work for her, and she was doing change management, which would be using brain research, which I had a degree in, and behavioral neuroscience, to deal with massive scale culture change in big organizations. And so I wasn't allowed to do the training because I was just a kid. My mother was sort of the guru, but I followed her around everywhere, just learning everything. And then after 9/11, she had 4 strokes.
Oh,
And
sorry.
so I had to help her kind of get back. She just wasn't the same. She was still good. She just wasn't the same. And so I think that just kind of like threw her completely off kilter, and we had to rebuild that whole process. And I had to learn, which forced me to, learn how to sell. You always be employed. I saw my buddy making, $800,000-$900,000 a year doing mortgages. I'm like, what are you doing? And how do I get in this?
Yeah.
And so I got in that, did my first few mortgages, and realized that was ridiculous money. And I was like, okay, nobody knows how to sell. You just show up and you get paid. Let's train them how to sell. So I created an event, just a sales training for 5 people, 4 people showed up. Took me 2 weeks to prepare. They said it was phenomenal. Then can they do it again next week? I did it again. They go, can we show our realtors? I did it to realtors. And I created 27 courses that year. And a guy named Eric Mitchell, which was in there about 8 months into that process, said I changed his life. He says, yeah, I got to introduce you to Tim Brahim, Greg Frost, and Barry Habib and Todd Duncan. You got to be that 5th one. And I'm like, I have no idea who those names are.
Really?
So he flies me out to Westlake Village. I meet Tim Brahim. He and I hit it off after I sort of critiqued his presentation, and we designed, we got Eric ready for business plan 2007. And then Tim Brahim and I designed business plan 2008 together. He gave me the last 2 days to design. And so then we did that, and I killed that event, and that's where you and I met.
So I just got to backpedal just a little bit. Okay. So 9/11 comes, things change. Mom, unfortunately, had some problems, right? What happened with Mom's company? What happened there? Did we roll it up and it's over?
No, I just became a salesperson for her, and
okay,
just trying to get her in front of rooms, but she was never used to having to sell herself. My mother's a former nun, so just give you an idea. She's like not somebody that was out there doing business development. She was pulled into this stuff because of what she had done in communities and in different arenas in the public sector, and realized that what she had been doing worked in corporations. And so one client sort of grabbed a hold of her and just brought her everywhere, and it was ridiculously successful. But she never, once we lost those clients, she never had to learn how to do business development. So I took my cookware skills and brought it to that and started selling.
Okay.
And so
you're selling for Mom, and you're
Mm-hmm.
getting Mom's company. You're keeping Mom's company afloat at this point. Is that fair to say?
Barely.
Okay, barely. Okay. And but how much longer did that continue on before you decided you're gonna? So when you went to the mortgage side of things, was it okay? Mom's the things I'm doing with Mom.
I was doing both at the same time.
So you're doing both. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then okay. And so then
and by the way, what I was doing for the mortgage side, I only originated for like a month, and I was like, forget that. I'm going to train these guys. And so I went on the training side, and I became an owner.
Okay. So you became an owner of a mortgage company?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. So this is back in what,
2002, 3, 4 to 2002, 3 till about 2006.
Oh, wow. Okay. So now we're leading up to the big crash. So, and you own a mortgage company at this point, a co-owner.
Partially owned, outside partner.
Partially owned. Okay. And what were we doing? We're training the originators within the organization. Is that what we were doing?
Every other week I would do in-house training, and then I would do an external mastermind for realtors. And we grew it from, 4 people the first time to 110, 150 people every single month. And then I would do a weekly presentation to realtors.
And this was localized, physically getting together, people coming to hear you, have you help them hear you speak, right? Learn
I still have all the presentations. I have them all.
No kidding.
Oh yeah, they're all in PowerPoint.
So this is an interesting time in the industry, because we're ramping up to 2007, 2008 here, where things explode, right? So business was pretty good in 2006, right? So, but then you've got this whole thing going on. Were you guys just we doing okay at that point?
Well, we had sold to a bank at 2006, just before all this happened.
Wowza, good one.
Yep.
Nice.
So and then we went, and then I became their chief learning officer for a while. At the bank.
Okay.
Yep. So just doing more of what I do, training loan officers and realtors, and just doing what I do.
Did that expand? Was your region expand at that point when the bank bought you, or were you still fairly localized, or were they a national player? Were they a regional player? What were they?
Out of Reno. And so we had branches all over, even in Maui. We had them all over the place. So I'd be traveling to all the branches and stuff.
Okay. So now you're kind of getting your sea legs here as far as being the traveling speaker.
Yeah, it's after BPO8, then it kind of grew, and then I was, I'd be kind of going to different branches and stuff, and then that all went. It just kept slowly growing. I started getting a little bit better, but I still had other clients too. I'm still working I'm still doing work for manufacturing companies. I'm still traveling all the place doing
Oh,
training there.
really?
Oh
So
yeah,
the
I
stuff
never
that
stopped.
from mom's company, you still had some residual business
Oh, we
going.
started that grew again. I mean, we started growing it again. We got like I spent was it I forget what year that would have been 2003, 2004. We between 2003 and 04, I sold about $4.5 million worth of training for
Dang,
that.
dude. Okay. So
Side that
now,
nobody ever hears.
yeah, right. You know, that's why we're here. So I want to
Yeah.
learn this
I
stuff.
actually
So
never shared that really outside of this, so it's interesting.
yeah, yeah. So, well, good. I'm glad we're kind of digging in there a little bit. So okay, so '08. So no, so we got the bank now. We got bought. We're working with the bank. Um, the crash still hasn't come yet, right? So we're working with the bank that bought us. You're working with them. You're going all around training a bunch of LOs. When the crash hits us, does the bank implode or anything like that? Or when does René Rodriguez become just René Rodriguez? Is it at this point in time, or
Um, when you say Renee, you're talking about when I started
I mean,
branding?
yeah, I mean, yeah, like right now you're a chief learning officer for a bank. Well, you're not still a chief
Yeah,
learning
well, I
officer
think
for a
I
bank.
mean
Now you're René Rodriguez, the Amplify guy,
that
So
that started focusing back in like 2000. What it's like 3 4 years ago. One of the pivotal moments was I'd figured out we started doing Amplify. We kind of started playing around like with things, and I wasn't really sure how to brand everything, and I knew I needed to. And I remember Dave Savage. I sent Dave a message. He's like, dude, you got to blow this thing up. I go, you know me, dude. I'm not a good marketer. And I have this text that literally it's in a video I just created. And I'm not a good marketer, so I'm not good at that stuff. And his response was, dude, stop saying you're not good and get good. Become a freaking ninja. And I was like, fuck, he didn't even give me a chance to do that. But it was like literally the following few months, we discovered neuro in my name. And I just said, okay, I have to get good at this. And I started creating videos and created our first transformation video and me doing it, sitting at the computer, doing all that stuff, trying to figure out how do I tell this story that's so hard to tell. And we just started really doubling down on the actual branding, which branding isn't just logos. This is one thing I think people don't understand. Like the amount of effort that goes into creating a brand is so far beyond color schemes and logos. And it begins, that's like the sixth thing that you do. You got to start with copywriting. And you got to start with the exploration of your ethos, which is who you are, what your character is, what the essential message is, what's the brand promise that you want to make, and get really crystal clear on that one word you want to own. And we got clear on influence and neuro. It's just a neuro influence. And so those two words became our central sort of pillars of what we wanted to build everything on. And all our content, I set sales aside, we set everything aside, change management, we just said influence. And that's where we just put our heads down. And it was scary because you have to say you're saying no to promoting other things that make you money, to really hone in on one, even though you can do all the other things, and I still do, but it's not the brand.
you keep saying we did this, we had to do this. Who's we?
It's a habit. I got a team. None of this happens alone. You
Yeah,
got
right.
teams. I got George, who's our designer. Jenny, who's around, my wife, and
Yeah.
there's so many people that were just a part of all that. And
Are these people
I
still with you?
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. So this is
I
your
cringe
core.
at saying I cringe at saying I because
No,
it's
no,
just not.
I
It's
wasn't.
not.
I was just curious who the other people were. Of
Yeah,
course, yeah, brother. Any successful person brand has a team, right?
for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So I was just curious who they were and curious if they're still with you. Like they're your core, right? They're your nucleus.
Yeah.
And they've been
Yep.
with you how
All of
long?
them. I'm so bad at timelines, man.
Give me a rough guess.
So Jenny came on at so the next downfall was COVID. So we had built this business. I got 100 events booked on the calendar, which having 100 events booked is like freaking goals for a speaker. And then March 2020, the NBA cancels, and within 1 week, I cancel 100 events. So that's millions of
Wow.
dollars.
God.
It's like, oh my God. Like it was just like you spend, I'm like sitting there going, I'm 26, 27 years into doing this, and I finally did it, and I got to erase it all. And it
It's
was just like one of
wow.
those, okay. But then I was like, okay, actually, I'm more familiar with this scenario than I am of any sort of success,
Mm.
which is the crazy part.
That's an
And I,
interesting thing to say.
yeah,
I'm more
much more
familiar with
familiar.
this part than any of the crazy success. That speaks a lot. That speaks a lot to me.
Sad but true, right?
True, right?
And
Yeah.
so I told the team, this is our videographer. We started recording things, and I pulled Ryan together. I pulled all the people together, and I said, "All right, guys, the best thing that ever happened to us." They go, "What are you talking about? We got no business." I know. I said, "But we know exactly what's about to happen." I said, "First, this is not my first rodeo." And I said, "Second, what do we know? We know that irrationality is going to come play and small steps. People are going to be highly stressed. What do we know most about? We know how people respond in situations like this. So we're going to create the best video series we've ever done. I got to get comfortable on camera, and we're just going to create this. We called it the Lighthouse series. And I go, we're going to give away our best stuff. We're going to record it in here. I'm going to talk about the brain. We're going to get them ready. We're going to teach them how to sell. We're going to get their mindset right. We're going to do all. I just kind of brainstorm what we got to get the mindset. How do we help people through this? Because we have to lead loudly right now. While everybody else is freaking out, we got to be louder. Be the lighthouse during the storm.
Mm.
And then Steve Harney saw what I was doing, and Steve Harney and I became even deeper, closer friends. And he was out there every day talking, and we're just masterminding on like what do we need to do, kind of pumping each other up every single morning. All right, let's get out there. No one's listening, but we're going to keep shining bright, kind of thing. And the team's like, well, what do we charge for this series? I said, nothing. I said, this is the best stuff you've ever done. Why won't you charge? I said, well, if you saw someone drowning and you had a life vest, would you monetize the life vest, or would you just throw it?
Mm.
So you just throw it. And I said,
Mm.
the beautiful thing about times like this is that I believe there's a perfect accounting system in the world. And I said, this is the time to just give. And this isn't the time to take. This is the time for us to lead. And we're going to lead because it's the right thing to do. And what's crazy is that each time we've done that, we have come out so far ahead each time, so far ahead. And I think I would attribute the effort that we put in when nobody else was as to one of the big core reasons why we excelled.
Fascinating. That is interesting. So you get the Lighthouse series out, right? We're going through COVID. Lasted a pretty long time, right? Before we could start speaking again.
Oh
And
yeah.
how, let me ask you this, the Lighthouse series, how well did that do given the circumstances? Did that get pretty much gobbled
Yeah,
up by everybody, by a lot of
I
people?
think it did. I mean, it was very
Yeah.
accepted. People appreciated it. They
Yeah.
shared it.
Yeah.
You know, nothing viral. I didn't know anything about virality or how to
Yeah.
create short form content. I just knew how to create long form training. And
Yeah.
so that's what we did. And so, yeah, that's, but what was interesting too, is during that time, I realized that I was severely overweight. Like I was 308 pounds, but 40 some
Really?
percent, 45% body fat.
I don't remember that, Renee. Boy, that camera worked for you. Well, actually, you know what? Here, like a lot of people might be listening to this who don't know you visually. Renee is just a big guy. I mean, he's a big guy, right? He's tall and broad, and so even if you were carrying that weight, you had a lot of framework to carry it.
Oh no, hold on.
You know what I'm
We're
saying?
gonna keep this real. I'm about to show you just how painful this was. You're gonna see just the reality of
Do you need to
what.
show me something?
Oh yeah. So we'll just show you the reality of this. If I can
Here.
share my screen, allow me to
Yeah,
share my
I'm
screen.
giving you the power there.
There you go.
Wow. Okay.
This was on the far right here was COVID 2020 right there.
Wow.
This was when we were starting to grow, and I was just severely overweight. And so this part of the story was like, how I had to put the work back in, and but then back to this, it was,
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
able to get past it. And so
I'll just have to say this, Renee. A lot of the people consuming this podcast might be just listening audio. So
yeah.
because but of course it's on YouTube, so people are seeing.
Just
it as
imagine the worst angle possible, and let's say 3 or 4 double chins. But I'll give you the math. I was 308 pounds, 45% body fat. That is the same body fat percentage as bacon.
Wow.
And so I went through when COVID happened. I'm like, okay, there's nothing there. We couldn't travel, no in-person gatherings. That means I didn't exist. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna do these videos. I gotta learn to be good on camera. I look fat and horrible. And I'm like, I gotta fix that. So I call my trainer. I go, you're gonna train me. You got any work? He goes, no. I go, can you find a secret gym? He goes, yep, I got one. I said, all right, you're gonna train me every single day, and I'll pay you every single day because I'm not traveling. And we're gonna attack this thing. And over this last 3 years, I mean, I'm down to 245 pounds at about 15% body
Yeah,
fat.
you look
And
terrific, by the way.
yeah, stronger than ever, better than ever. And but yeah, it's just it's all part of the journeys, man. Like and this is where we are now, by the way. This is a great freaking opportunity for us to dig deep and pull in something and get really super crystal clear about what we believe and what we're doing. And the best part, and I was talking to Shant Benoshin, who's number one LO in the country right now, has been for the last couple of years. He's having a down year, by the way, at $1 billion.
Slacker.
Yeah, slacker. And we were talking about why we love times like this. And he looked at me because I caught him off guard on stage. I said, why do you love times like this? And he's like, and he stops. He goes, you know what? I love that question. And he goes, because I know that 95% of the people won't show up. And it's never easier to shine when only 5% of us are doing anything. And I was like, I love that. It is such an easy time. God, it's such an easy time to stand out. Poor service in the industry, call someone back and watch people go, oh my God, you're different. No, I just called somebody back, but let them think that. When the bar is set that low, jump high. Period.
I love this. This is all good, man. This is all good. So, man, well, I want to kind of stick to my timeline. I kind of forgot where we left off on the timeline. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
where did Ventum come into play in all of this? Is Ventum still part of the brand, part of the company, or
it's
is
not
it
part of the brand? Not part of the
Yeah.
brand, but it's the name of the company, Ventum
It's the
LLC.
company.
Ventum's-
Okay.
Yeah.
Got
So
it.
Ventum was created. There was another downturn in there where after we lost everything in 9/11, I owed $600,000. Half of that was to a lawsuit. The other half of that was to the bank that we were upside down on a borrowing base. And so I had been paying that down slowly and was left about $113,000. One of my clients comes in and purchases the note from the bank and forecloses and takes our intellectual property and says he was doing me a favor. And he says, here you go. I own it now. It's licensed. You're protected from the lawsuit. Go build. But he owns it now.
Interesting.
And yeah. And so then it was a fascinating moment where, then a few months later, he's like, yeah, I want my son to run the business. And I'm like, your son? If he's listening, hey, see how you're doing now. But yeah. And that happened. I was like, okay, we'll do this. And we trained and we did a bunch of work. And after we sold a bunch of stuff, they sent me a deal for 10% of the company. And I was like, that. I never returned a call, never did anything. And it wasn't worth the fight. I believe that you either fight or you build. It's either or. And as upset as I was at the time, a good friend of mine said, if I sign that contract, it's because I'm emotionally connected to the words rapid change. I wasn't. And it forced me to move away from those. Rapid Change was the name of that company.
Got you.
And so that's what got me into focusing on sales and influence and all that stuff.
And that's where Ventum came in. Okay. All right. Okay. Good enough. We get past COVID, which was actually quite an interesting time for you. I love what the gentleman said, the high end, the top producing LO, about 95 of the people just aren't going to show up. 95% of the people aren't going to show up. So it's so much easier to shine in these moments. Certainly applicable today. We get past COVID, and you've always just been this guy, Renee, that, because I remember talking to you just a few years, maybe this was pre-COVID, where it was like, dude, what are you doing? It's like, oh, I'm traveling here, then there, then here, then there, and there, and here, and there. You were just such a ferocious traveler.
Yeah.
I just was like, how do you do it, brother? I don't even know. Is it like that now? Now that we've gotten through COVID, we've got this, incredible brand going. Or is part of where you are at today the traveling guy still? Are you doing as much as you were? Yeah.
Yeah. I spoke 239 days last year.
Golly.
Yeah. It's a nonstop thing. Now we're making some shifts to our model and how we're doing it. We're starting to say no to a lot more things. Even podcasts, like, I mean, this is my fourth one today.
Mm.
And you take them all on thinking, oh, this is okay. But then you go, man, this is a lot. And they were going to cancel. I'm like, no, Frank's is different. That's like catching up with an old buddy. That's very, very different. But it's, we're just doing it. We're going to be doing a little bit different stuff.
Okay. So making some change, because I was kind of, well, I'll get to that. I'll get to what I wanted to say. But so the brand as we know it today, that I'm so impressed with, right? That I'm just like, this is crazy awesome, right? And you're right, it's not just a logo by any means. It's everything. It's the presence, it's the message, and it is the visual. To me, the visual, you know, the marketing materials that I see come out of your organization are just like, God dang, they got it going on. It looks so impressive, you know.
Thanks, man.
You bet, you know. And again, congrats to everybody who's helping with that, because I know there's a team behind
George.
it.
Shout out to George Castillo.
George Castillo, that's a guy to look into. Let me tell you, because he does
no,
good
he's mine.
stuff.
He works for me 100%.
He works for you.
Hands
Okay, all right. Stay away from George Castillo. But this brand. So, what was the year again that this brand? This, you know, tell me what the brand
got
is.
serious. It's really over COVID. I mean, it was
just
like,
all over COVID when this came about. Okay.
Yeah, I got to go look at when it was. Let me see when we first did the ethos explorations.
You know what's blowing me away about that is you're saying it's over COVID. COVID's just a few years. It's just been a few years, you know. So
yeah.
It was a pretty rapid, you know, thing to happen, in my opinion.
Oh, it was overnight, man. It was totally.
It was overnight, because like your brand went from one thing to another thing, and you know, yeah, well, it was like overnight. So tell me.
So November 19th, 2018 was the first time we started looking into the copy.
Okay.
2018. And so that was, so basically just at the end of 18. So we were a year into figuring out what do we do with this brand. And we didn't know how to make it come to life. And then we got it, and then it started doing this, and then COVID happened, and then we lost everything. And that's where we really doubled down into it. But we were about a year into it. Maybe 8 months into the branding when COVID happened. So it was right before then.
So you guys really took advantage of COVID. You really did. You took advantage of that. You weren't traveling, obviously. You guys could kind of knuckle down and put the brain trust together and work on the brand, work on the business.
I would say is it take advantage of, or we adapted really fast. I mean, the thing is, and this is what it comes down to, and I think this is a lesson anybody listening to. It's when you really feel like you don't have a choice, you become super resourceful. And to me, I don't have another choice except for to adapt. That's how I look at everything. It doesn't matter what I'm a part of. That's how I'm going to look at every single thing that's happening. And, you know, we're looking at it right now. How do we adapt? We looked at, you know, we just did an event during the hardest time ever. And we had like 100 people like 3-4 weeks ago signed up, and we ended up with 500 because we just adapted, and we just put our nose to the grindstone, and we said, I don't care, we're going to outwork this market. And we did. And so you can outwork interest rates and inflation. You can outwork any of this stuff because it's just the law of averages. Just the averages change a little bit, but I can increase my work ethic, and, you know, I can call upon favors, and I can do the things that I need to do as long as we're adding value to the world. I mean, let's just work. We just waste so much time talking about the irrelevant, uncontrollable shit. And somebody else asked me before, they go, what is it? I go, you know, I think at the end of the day is that I'm good at knowing what I can and can't control. And I don't waste an ounce of energy on what I can't control. But I'm really good at identifying what I can. And so if I can't control whatever it is, well, what can I? My response, my presentation skills, how well I communicate value, how well I listen, what time I get up, what time I go to bed. You know, I can control all of these things. Just hone in on them. Sorry, ranting.
Fantastic. No, it was great. I loved it. I want to get back to the kind of what I wanted to ask you. And you said you were going to be making some changes. I was going to ask you just that, like, you know, 239 speaking events in a year is just, brother, that's a lot.
More events. Those are just days. So some of those events had 3 and 4.
Gotcha.
Things.
So that's a lot. And So how long can you possibly do that? I mean, where do you go from here? You know?
Well, I think, one, I'm better health than ever. So I did my health transformation on the road, which was
Okay.
the one thing I wanted to be able to do. I wanted to eliminate all excuses. And so I did that on the road. Um, to me,
Hard to
it's all
do on the
part.
road, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's the worst, huh? Airplanes, airports, airline food, airport food. It must have been
Well,
really tough to do that.
well, the real simple solution. I had simple rules. One was I don't eat on airplanes, and I don't eat at airports,
Okay. Well,
which
that would
basically was
help a
50%.
lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was 50% of my time.
Yeah,
And so I'm like,
exactly.
okay, so I learned how to fast, and I learned how to find the right meals, and I had
Yeah.
great people. But it's what's next. You do what you need to get to where you need to go, period.
Right.
That's how I look at things. And so I
Yeah.
don't look at how long can I last. I go, am I doing what I need to do? And the answer is yes. Am I getting where I need to go? Yes. And we maximized a model that wasn't correct. I thought the model was highest speaking engagement fees possible, as many speaking gigs as you can do. Well, we're at 35,000 and per gig, and we did too many. Okay. So, but then I watch other people using funnels and doing different products that actually affect more people, instead of just being so dependent on me, but creating digital products and other things that really truly are effective. And so we've been venturing into that, and we've been having a lot of success with it, and still doing more of it.
That's what I was curious to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I won't
because
stop the speaking, but just won't do as many.
there you go. There you go. Yeah, because at some point you're building something, you've already built it, and you're now you're, you know, I guess what I'm looking at is, are you climaxing right now, for lack of a better word? And then if you are, where,
Mm,
that's why I was asking, where do you
not
go
even
from there?
close. Oh
Because
man,
because
not even remotely climaxing. I'm around people that get paid $300,000 a gig.
mm-hmm,
I'm nothing. Like, I am absolutely garbage in the
mm,
sense of what's possible. And
mm,
that's okay. That's not a down. That's not being hard on myself. That is just a beautiful humility of opportunity to me.
mm,
Like, I'm around these guys that, oh my God, the things that they're doing. I have people that are doing $500 million a year in sales training. What am I doing? I'm not doing shit. And
mm,
so, raise your network, and you start realizing what you actually can do, and how small you actually are, and how hard you actually have to work.
mm,
So there
mm.
is no climax. I'm not even remotely looking at the pinnacle of anything right now. And that's a beautiful place to
And
be.
you still feel like you got enough steam left in you
Oh
to
God, I'm just getting started, dude. I feel
just get
younger than
started.
ever.
Listen to this
No,
guy.
no,
Wow.
because
That's
I just
awesome.
changed. Yeah, no, I changed what I'm talking about. There's learning that's happening every day. I mean, I'm fucking
Mm,
reading books non freaking stop. But there's so much stuff out there that
yeah.
it's just consume it. And then, my skill set is, how do you take that stuff and dissect it and turn it into applicable and actionable insights?
Yeah.
That's where I thrive in.
You're really well known in the mortgage space, but are you branched out, like you had from your past? You were definitely in different industries.
Mm-hmm.
Have you still continued to speak in various industries along with the mortgage space? Is the mortgage
100%.
space kind of a smaller piece of your pie right now, or is it a big piece of your pie?
Um, I'd have to take a look. I would say it's 30% to 40%.
Okay, so it's not
It's
a majority by any means.
no, 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 no. But it's a good play. But I'm in entrepreneurial space, and just name,
Yeah.
we do a lot of big events. There's property management that just today we're, like bigger, like investment banks, marketing firms, to manufacturing sites, to companies. Like, they want me to come out to Qatar to do something there.
Wow.
Like, there's what's funny is TikTok has been more valuable than people could imagine. I never thought I'd say that, but
Really?
it's been really valuable. Yeah.
For you? No
Yeah.
kidding.
Well, we got 1 million followers on TikTok. I mean, there's videos out there that have 26 million views. And so I'm going through airports, and people are like, "Hey, are
You're
you
that
that guy that?"
guy.
Yeah. And then I'm like, "What?" No, like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Then
Are you that guy that's friends with Frank Ray?
yeah,
Yeah, you
exactly.
probably get
Right.
that all the time.
No, but it's interesting that TikTok has totally opened up a completely different audience, younger too, and they're hungry for learning body language and how to be more confident, and just little tips and tricks that we do, that we get a chance to show on social media in a short form, It's I never thought that that would be a thing, but it
Me,
is.
that just blows my mind. I had no idea. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Congratulations on that. That's neat. That's
thanks. It's
cool.
also international too, so that's where we get the international sort of exposure.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, man. Well, you're going strong, brother. You are still going strong. And so here we are. We're in another time. You've already said so many things that apply to today for a mortgage person, plenty of stuff. But I kind of just want to wrap this thing up a little bit if we can. Um, but you know, I just like what you said. We had a room, we had 100 registered, we knuckled down and we just went to work and got 500 in there. I mean, that's what it takes today, right? That's where
100%.
we're at, right?
It's always where we're at. That's the thing.
Mm,
It's always like I don't care
mm,
where we are. When you had interest rates, I know people that had this mentality when interest rates were in 2 and 3%, and they made a killing.
mm-hmm.
And guess how they are thinking now? The same way. It's like people get back to the basics. I said, not back. You never went to the basics.
Right.
Most people got lucky in this industry, and
True.
it's you have to go. We were somebody. We had a fitness guy, Flex Lewis, is in our mastermind group. Is a 7-time consecutive Mr. Olympia, 7 of them in our
Goodness.
mastermind group. And somebody said, well, what could you tell us about if we want to get in better shape? And he goes, I know, I understand about the eating right and diet. And I stopped. I go, there is nothing else. There's no, stop looking for new and cool,
Huh.
fundamental. Like
Huh.
it's what you eat and how much you work out. Calories in, calories out. That's it.
Huh.
And the same thing is true in sellies. Pick up the phone, convert that to a lead, take that lead, meet with them, present value to them to convert them to. I mean, this is the same basic fundamental shit that's been around forever. I
Mm,
got to do the same thing. We have an event coming up in 4 weeks. We have 4 people there. We need 12, and it's $6,000 per person. They said, hey, we need 8 more. I'm like, done. I'm not going to magically hope and some social media post will fill it. No, I'm going to. Can you swear on this podcast?
Well, we prefer not, but it's
Okay.
okay. Well, we'll,
I'm
we'll,
not. I'm
we'll
not gonna.
deal with it.
I'm gonna. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick up the phone and
Yeah.
start dialing people as as possible until I
Yeah.
learn, and then I go to the people that have gone through this and saying, "Hey, do you know anyone?" Magically, they typically do. And I said, "Would you mind introducing me to them?" Absolutely. They send a beautiful email. I get on the
Mm,
phone and I play our video, and we go through the sales process.
mm,
And a percentage of those calls will convert. So
mm.
I just have to figure out how many do I need to go. And they say, "Well, how many calls?" And the answer is simple: as many as it takes.
There you go. That's exactly the right answer. That's right. It's not how
Like how many
many,
times you
it's
get
how
a
many
kid a
takes.
chance to walk for the first time? As many
Yeah.
as it takes.
Right.
Why do we slow down for ourselves?
Yeah. Good stuff.
Anyways,
Anyway, what's next year looking like for you, brother? Right. Let me ask you this: do you have some home time? Do you have some downtime for the holidays, or are
I
you
do. I
gone?
do. No, I've
Yeah.
got some. I've got some.
Good.
It's
Well, I'm glad.
they've been good about trying to keep me here. I mean, I leave tomorrow for somewhere. I'm back, but I leave again, and I'm back. But I think we've got Paris and Costa Rica coming up, both of which
Okay.
are fun. So
All right. Well, good for you. Good for you. How's next year looking for you? Pretty busy already?
very, yeah, it's so busy. It's crazy, but
Yeah.
this is a beautiful thing, man. I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining. We just got to get better at what we do, and we have efficiency opportunities, and I've got to get better at surrendering more to my team, and I've got to become a better leader. We've got to find, keep innovating on content that we create so we stay ahead of the curve. We don't want to be seen as everyone else, so we're trying to innovate on a content development perspective. We're changing up already our platform and what we're doing on Instagram. We're moving away from a bunch of stuff to moving towards some stuff, and just trying to set the trend in our own way.
out of out of all that stuff you just said, all of it's awesome. The one thing that stuck out to me the most though was I got to surrender more to my team.
Yep.
Give
Not
me
easy.
just give me a little bit on that and then we'll get out of here.
I have I've been alone for a lot of this journey, depended on myself for a lot of this journey, but probably also haven't felt like I deserved someone, or not deserved. Maybe that's the psychoanalysis part of this, but I'm kind of the guy, I'm like, I'm not going to ask you to do something I haven't done myself. So no, I'll just take care of it. Now I'll just take care of it. But then you realize, like, I'm hurting the team when I just take care of it versus letting them do it. I gotta fire myself from a lot of work and continue to do that every single year. shit, every single month. I got to figure that out. So we're getting better. And you know what? Everybody's happier when I do that too.
One more thing, just based on what you just said. How often do you guys get together and evaluate that? Like the process?
Weekly?
Weekly?
Yeah. Yeah. Weekly, every event. I mean, we've got such a good team, and they're always looking at stuff. They know, like, hey, checklist item. We have checklists that we work from. If something goes wrong, like something as simple as we get to a hotel room and there's a train outside the training room. And I go, hey, add to the checklist to check there's no trains near the
next to the training room. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's construction in the hotel. I'm like, hey, add to the checklist to ensure there's no construction as to why we got a great price on this location. And so that checklist is just grows and grows and grows and grows and grows and grows.
Good stuff.
But it's also, I remember like the days we were measuring out the rooms of what size we wanted. And, we kept getting the room wrong. And then one day I'm saying, okay, this is perfect. And Jenny just pulls out this tape measure. Whoosh, and I'm like, what are you doing? She goes, I'm measuring this because this is this is our standard now. I'm like, you're awesome, man. And so, yeah, first time, like, she just was ready for that moment. So
awesome. Yeah. Awesome. René Rodriguez, thanks so much, man. This has been really, really cool. I've learned a lot about you, and never knew the real story. Didn't know about mom, didn't know about any of that stuff. And it's thanks for sharing it.
I appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Always appreciate you, my friend.
Yeah. So if somebody wants to connect with you, coming up next year, do Amplify, what's the best place for someone to go to
follow me on Instagram for sure. What I've got to, we do a coaching group. We do it twice a month. And for those that want to, if you want to, you can show them this QR code. It'll take you to a free month's worth of coaching. It's just a way for people to check out, see if they like the style, see what it's like. It's not expensive. We're doing it to really get something in front of people.
Is there a speakable link for those who aren't visually seeing this?
Not this one, because it's a free month. But if you go to my website, you'll have to pay for it right away. But you can get a free month through Frank Garay and the Loan Officer Podcast here. So I'll throw the link in there, and maybe you can throw it in the description.
Yeah, if you shoot me a link, that'd be great.
Or just use your phone and grab that right there too.
Oh man,
I'll send it to you. I'll text it to you.
Yeah,
I got you.
Thank you. Have the team send me the link. That would be preferred. Yes. And then but I mean, just in general too, is it what's the website? What is the website?
If you go to meetrenee.com, MEET Renee RENE.com, that's where everything's at.
Perfect. That's what we were looking for. Meetrenee.com.
And if you click on coaching and you do it, just try the code free month, and then that should work.
One word.
Yep. That will be your discount code.
Okay. Free month. There you go. Excellent.
Terrific. And I just texted it to you as well.
Okay. Thanks, brother. Meetrenee.com. Use the code free month. So that's awesome.
Yeah. And then of course there's Amplify and all that sort of stuff, but DM me if you want to get together and talk about Amplify. It's a little bit bigger investment, but it's higher value.
There you go. Right on. René Rodriguez. Thanks so much, man, for doing this. Really
appreciate you, my friend.
Yeah, man, you too. I was looking forward to this, and anxious to learn how it all started and how it got here. And it's very inspirational, man. I dig it.
You pulled it all out of me, my friend. So it's gonna be fun.
Awesome. Good stuff. Well,
appreciate it, man.
You betcha. René Rodriguez, everybody. Thank you, René, for being here. We'll go ahead and get on out of here. This is the Mortgage Loan Officer Podcast, brought to you by the Mortgage Marketing Animals. We'll leave you those links below, but if you're listening, it's meetrenee.com. Use the keyword free month if you want to explore the coaching for free. And also don't hesitate to hang out with me Monday through Thursday, 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern time, for free mortgage loan officer coaching as well at the Loan Officer Breakfast Club. Go to loanofficerbreakfastclub.com. You can register there for absolutely free every Monday through Thursday, 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 or 9 a.m. Eastern time. We'd love to see you there. All right, René, we're going to get out of here, my friend. Thanks so much, man. Always appreciate hanging with you, brother. We didn't get to show him the picture of me on your shoulders. You know what I mean? On your shoulders.
I have that somewhere. It's
in
somewhere
Colorado. Yes, yeah. I believe it was Colorado.
It was the Mortgage Tech Summit.
René and I have had some good times in the past. And more to come in the future, I might add.
Love
So with that,
Love it.
thank you, Renee. We'll catch up with you later. And for the rest of you, thanks for
Appreciate it.
joining us here in the Mortgage Loan Officer Podcast. We'll see you here next week. Adios, my
Take care.
friends.